In the world of football, many strange things happen during matches, such as a wrong decision made by the referee, like awarding a goal from an offside position, or not giving a penalty, or perhaps a player scores an own goal in a bizarre way, or your favorite team manages to achieve a comeback during injury time. Of course, the latter is the most beautiful feeling in the world. Many of these events make you remember the match and never forget it. For this reason, I am here today to share with you a list of the top 10 craziest matches in football history, matches that witnessed such strange events that they went from being crazy to funny. I will rank these matches for you from the least crazy to the most crazy. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell to receive more of these videos. We start with the first match in this video, which dates back to 1982 during the World Cup in Spain. The match was between France and Kuwait, with the Kuwaiti team participating as the first Arab-Asian team in the tournament. The strange event occurred when the score was 3-1 in favor of France. During an attack by the French team, a whistle unexpectedly sounded from the stands, causing the Kuwaiti players to stop playing, thinking the referee had blown it to signal offside. But the surprise was that the French players continued playing and scored a fourth goal, which sparked protests from the Kuwaiti players over the whistle that confused them and affected the course of the match. The Kuwaiti players approached the referee, demanding the goal be cancelled, but the Soviet referee Miroslav Stupa decided to count the goal for the French team, which greatly angered the Kuwaiti players. The biggest surprise came when Sheikh Fahad Al Ahmed, the president of the Kuwaiti Football Association at the time, descended onto the pitch. He began gesturing with his hands right and left and speaking to the referee in a sharp tone, which ultimately led the referee to reverse his decision and cancel the goal. In the end, the match concluded with France winning 3-1. However, what happened on the pitch did not go unnoticed by FIFA. FIFA deemed these actions inappropriate for a tournament as prestigious as the World Cup. As a result, FIFA decided to officially record the score as 4-1 in favor of the French team and issued a decision to suspend the Soviet referee Miroslav Stupa, barring him from officiating any other matches until the end of the Spain World Cup. As for the second match in this video, it did not witness refereeing mistakes or controversial decisions, but it was extraordinary in every sense of the word. This match was played on April 11, 2001, as part of the World Cup qualifiers and brought together the teams of Australia and American Samoa. The match ended with an unbelievable score. If you're expecting a result like 9-0, 10-0, or even 15-0, get ready to be amazed. The match ended with a stunning result of 31-0 in favor of the Australian team. Yes, 31 goals with no response. This match was part of the Oceania qualifiers, where both teams competed for a chance to qualify for the playoff against a South American representative. At that time, Australia was considered the strongest team in the region before later moving to play within the Asian Football Confederation. You might wonder, is it possible for the Samoa national team to be so weak that they conceded 31 goals without scoring any? The truth is, there were exceptional circumstances surrounding the match. The Samoa team entered the match suffering from a significant shortage of players due to a decision by the International Federation that banned players without a US passport from participating. As a result, the team had to rely on goalkeeper Niki Salapu and several young players. Even the Samoa under-20 team could not lend their players because they were busy with exams. This situation prompted Australia to rest some of their prominent stars, such as John Aloisi and Damian Morey, to manage the match with minimal effort. Strangely, the match started on a balanced note during the first 10 minutes, but as those minutes passed, things completely shifted in favor of the Kangaroos, turning the game into an unprecedented football showcase. During the match, Archie Thompson managed to score 13 goals, the highest number ever scored by a player in a single match. His teammate David Zdrilic wasn't far from the spotlight, netting 8 goals, while Konbatsianis scored a hat-trick, leaving his mark on this historic encounter. The first half ended with a sweeping 16-0 lead, and in the second half, the goal festival continued until the final score reached 31-0. This overwhelming result even caused confusion for the person operating the scoreboard in the stadium, who mistakenly wrote 32 instead of 31. Away from the result, this match was the main reason behind changing the Oceania qualifiers system. This came after demands from from Australia's coach Frank Farina, who did not hide his delight at the record, but criticised the existing system for reaching the finals. He called for knockout matches to be held before reaching the final stages. Now we move to the next match. Have you ever heard of a game that ended in a draw, but all the goals were scored by a single player? That's exactly what happened in 1976 during a match between Aston Villa and Leicester City. On that night, Aston Villa defender Chris Nicol managed to score 2 goals for his team, but then went on to score 2 more in his own net. The funny part of the story is that these 2 goals made Chris Nicol rank 5th on Leicester City's top scorers list and 10th on Aston Villa's top scorers list for the same season. The next match I will talk about is the clash between Manchester City and Real Madrid in the semi-finals of the 2021 to 2022 UEFA Champions League, which ended in an unforgettable, dramatic and crazy fashion. After the first leg ended with Manchester City winning 4-3 at the Etihad Stadium, the second leg took place at the Santiago Bernabeu. The first half of the match was characterized by extreme caution from both teams. However, at the start of the second half, Manchester City imposed their dominance on the game and began launching consecutive attacks on Real Madrid's goal. In the 72nd minute, after a brilliant pass from Bernardo Silva, Riyad Mahrez managed to score the first goal, breaking the resilience of Courtois, who had been outstanding throughout the match. Surprisingly, Real Madrid showed no notable reaction after conceding that goal. City didn't settle for the goal. Their danger increased with attacks that almost ended the match. The most notable were 2 shots by Grealish. The first passed by the post, and the second was amazingly saved by Mendy off the goal line. Perhaps that save was the best thing Mendy had done since joining Real Madrid. With City's dominance, the statistics indicated that their chances of qualification were 99%. However, in the 89th minute, the unexpected happened, and we all saw what happened afterward. With the entry of Rodrigo and Camavinga from Real Madrid, and the exit of De Bruyne and Mahrez from Manchester City, the balance of the match completely shifted. Real Madrid managed to score 2 consecutive goals in just 2 minutes, bringing the game back to square one. The morale of City's players noticeably collapsed, especially as they recalled Real Madrid's comebacks against Paris Saint-Germain and Chelsea. It started to seem that everything was going in favor of the Spanish team. In the second minute of the first extra-time period, Karim Benzema earned a decisive penalty, which he executed with great confidence, securing Real Madrid's place in the final. There, Real Madrid triumphed over Liverpool and claimed the title in an extraordinary season, during which Benzema deservedly won the Ballon d'Or. In the next match, we move to the African continent, where events are not without refereeing scandals and player forgery issues. During the first round of the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations, a match was held between the national teams of Tunisia and Mali, with Mali leading 1-0. Suddenly, the referee Gianni Sakazwi blew the final whistle in the 85th minute. This decision was shocking and unjustified, as the regular time of the match had not yet ended. After intense protests, the referee returned to the field to resume the match. However, the biggest surprise came when he ended the match again at the 89th minute and 45 seconds, without adding any stoppage time, despite numerous reasons that warranted it, such as 2 penalty decisions, a player being sent off, and 10 substitutions. It was logical to add at least 5 minutes of stoppage time. The explanation the referee gave later was even stranger than his actions. He claimed that he had suffered from a heat stroke and felt severe dizziness, which led him to decide to end the match. The encounter concluded with Mali winning 1-0, but it left behind widespread controversy about the refereeing and the conditions that influenced the course of the game. The next match we will talk about is one of the most controversial matches in the history of the European Championship qualifying rounds, specifically in the 1984 qualifiers. At that time, Spain was placed in a group that included the Netherlands, Northern Ireland, Iceland, and Malta. After 8 matches, the Netherlands topped the group with 13 points, while Spain only had 11 points. Given the points system at the time, which awarded 2 points for a win instead of 3, qualification seemed like a complicated complicated task. Only the first place guaranteed qualification, and goal difference was the deciding factor in case of a tie on points. The Dutch national team finished the qualifiers with 22 goals scored against their opponents, compared to 6 goals conceded, with a goal difference of 16. On the other hand, the Spanish national team scored 12 goals and conceded 7, with a goal difference of only 5. This meant that Spain needed to win by a margin of 11 goals to secure qualification, which seemed impossible, but what happened exceeded all expectations. In their final match against Malta, the game was held at Benito Villamarín Stadium in Seville, Spain. However, achieving an 11-0 result seemed extremely unlikely and difficult to accomplish. Everyone was convinced that the Netherlands had secured qualification, especially since Spain had only narrowly defeated Malta in a previous match with a score of 3-2. So how could a team that struggled to win by a single goal in the first encounter manage to achieve an 11-goal victory in the final match? It seemed impossible by all standards. At the start of the match, in the second minute, Turkish referee Erkin Göksel awarded a penalty to Spain, but Francisco Carrasco missed it, making matters even more complicated. However, the response didn't take long, as Carlos Santillana scored Spain's first goal in the 15th minute. But the joy didn't last long, as the Malta national team managed to score an equalizer in the 24th minute, making the task appear even more difficult. Before the end of the first half, Santillana came back to add 2 more goals, ending the first half with Spain leading 3-1. However, the challenge remained daunting, as Spain still needed to score 9 more goals in the second half within just 45 minutes. In the second half, the Spanish team completely dominated the match. Rincón started by scoring 2 consecutive goals, followed by Machida adding 2 more. Rincón then completed his hat-trick, and Santillana scored the 9th goal. Under relentless pressure, Rincón netted the 10th goal, followed by Sarabia scoring the 11th. In the 84th minute, Juan Señor managed to score the 12th goal, ending the match with a historic 12-1 result. With this victory, Spain achieved the impossible and qualified for the European Championship at the expense of the Netherlands. Celebrations erupted across the country after this historic achievement. Spain didn't stop there. They delivered an impressive performance in the tournament held in France, reaching the final match before losing the title to the hosts. Although the event became a historic memory in Spain and Europe, Malta's forward Silvio De Manuele decided to break his silence and claimed that the performance of La Roja's players in the second half was different. De Manuel explained that he passed by Spain's locker room and saw a drink resembling lemonade, but he believed it contained a performance-enhancing substance. He asserted that La Roja's players consumed those substances during halftime, which allowed them to display a strong and extraordinary level in the second half. The validity of his statements remains a subject of debate, but considering that Spain scored 9 goals in one half, his claims might seem plausible, given the difficulty of achieving such a result under normal circumstances. The next match dates back to 1945 and witnessed extraordinary and unusual events. To commemorate the end of World War II, the English Football Association invited the Russian team Dynamo Moscow to play a friendly match against Arsenal. The match was held at White Hart Lane because Arsenal's main stadium, Highbury, was under the control of the British Ministry of Defence at the time, having been used as a shelter during air raids. At that time, the world was eager to watch football matches again after years of suffering during the war, as people sought any opportunity to escape the atmosphere of sorrow and death that had lingered for so long. As the match began, everyone was surprised by the sudden onset of a dense fog that enveloped the scene. The enthusiasm began to wane as the fog gradually crept onto the field. The dense fog obscured the players' vision in the middle of the pitch, and fans in the stands were unable to see much of what was happening on the field for large portions of the match. Both teams took advantage of the situation in their own ways. One Arsenal player, who had been sent off with a red card, returned to the field and continued playing with his team without the referee noticing. The Soviet team, on the other hand, made several substitutions but did not remove the substituted players from the field. This ultimately led to the team playing with 15 players on the pitch at the same time. Additionally, a spectator volunteered to replace Arsenal's goalkeeper after he injured his arm colliding with the goalpost, and all of this happened without the referee noticing. At that time, 50,000 English spectators were watching the match, laughing and completely bewildered by what was unfolding, as the game had turned into a scene resembling a circus. Our next match featured one of the most thrilling moments in football history. In 2006, 2017, Barcelona faced an unprecedented challenge after losing 4-0 to Paris Saint-Germain at the Parc des Princes, leaving the Catalan team with an almost impossible task in the second leg at Camp Nou. The match began perfectly for Barcelona, as the team managed to score 3 unanswered goals, reigniting hope among their fans. However, things took a turn when Uruguayan Edinson Cavani scored for Paris Saint-Germain, leaving Barcelona needing 3 more goals in just 30 minutes, a task that seemed impossible. But as they say, impossible is not Catalan. Thanks to the exceptional performances of Neymar and Messi, who were at their peak at the time, Barcelona managed to score 3 goals in just 10 minutes, achieving what everyone described as a football miracle. Now let us go back in time to 1982, specifically to the World Cup in Spain, where the Algerian national team competed in Group 2 alongside West Germany, Austria, and Chile. At that time, the Algerian team boasted several outstanding stars. In their first match, Algeria faced West Germany, a strong favorite to win the tournament. The match seemed so one-sided that the German side's comments carried a tone of mockery toward Algeria. West Germany's captain at the time, Lothar Matthäus, declared, "I will personally score the 8th goal against Algeria." However, the Algerian team had a different message on the field. They managed to achieve a stunning 2-1 victory, sending a strong statement to everyone. Meanwhile, in the second match of the group, Austria defeated Chile 1-0. In the second round, the Algerian team suffered a 2-0 defeat against Austria, while Germany secured a big 4-1 win over Chile. At that time, a win awarded only 2 points, unlike the current 3-point system. By the end of the second round, Austria topped the group with 4 points, followed by Germany and Algeria with 2 points each, while Chile remained without any points. In the third round, Algeria achieved a 3-2 victory over Chile, keeping their hopes of qualifying alive. However, their fate depended on the outcome of the remaining match between West Germany and Austria, which was scheduled to take place later. At the start of the match, the German team quickly translated their dominance into the first goal. Then, both teams, Germany and Austria, began passing the ball between them without any notable offensive attempts throughout the remaining 80 minutes. This performance caused dissatisfaction among everyone, with Austrian commentators urging viewers to turn off their televisions, signaling the boredom and unprofessionalism that dominated the match. The German commentator, on the other hand, described what was happening as a shameful display, noting that it had nothing to do with football. The match ended with a 1-0 victory for the German team, which led to the qualification of both the German and Austrian teams to the second round. However, this performance angered the fans of both teams, who expressed their dissatisfaction by gesturing at the players with money, implying that the players were bought with money, and clearly suggesting that the result came as a result of a pre-arranged agreement. What happened later became known as the disgrace of Gijon, where it was revealed that there was an agreement between the German and Austrian teams to eliminate the Algerian team. As a result of this incident, the International Football Federation, FIFA, implemented a decision to schedule the final matches of the group stage in all groups at the same time to prevent such occurrences from happening again. The strangest match in football history, in my opinion, is the one where the German national team defeated Brazil 7-1 on Brazilian soil in front of their fans, and in the tournament that Brazil has historically won the most. This match, held in the semi-finals of the 2014 FIFA World Cup, and ranked as the greatest defeat in Brazil's football history, was an unexpected shock to Brazilian football fans. These are the 10 matches I consider the craziest. If there are any other matches I haven't mentioned in this video that you believe deserve to be on this list, feel free to share them with me in the comments.